Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. One thing a person could say about a life of faith is that it is an adventure. One minute you're experiencing glorious experiences in which you are living a life close with God and you're experiencing the working of God in your life very powerfully and very mightily, experiencing God in all of his wonder and greatness and marveling at his majesty and just experiencing a wonderful and glorious experience by exercising faith in God. But we also have to admit that there's the other side of faith as well. There's the difficulties, the temptations, the trials, the hardships, the persecutions sometimes that come along with a life of faith as well. And so a life of faith is filled with mountains and valleys, and we experience them both, sometimes simultaneously. And so the life of faith is very adventurous, but also varied in its experience. And this isn't anything new. This isn't anything that is peculiar to New Testament believers. The Old Testament believers had the same thing, and we see that in our reading today in Hebrews chapter 11. The Hebrew writer talks about the wonderful things that people acquired by faith. He talks about in verse 33, after mentioning Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, and Samuel, and the prophets, he said, who by faith conquered kingdoms, performed acts of righteousness, obtained promises, shut the mouths of lions, quenched the power of fire, escaped the edge of the sword. From weakness were made strong, became mighty in war, put foreign armies to flight. Women received back their dead by resurrection. These are wonderful experiences that people of faith, even in the Old Testament, had experienced these great victories and these great experiences. But he doesn't even finish the sentence after talking about women receiving back their children in resurrection, that it completely turns to difficult situations. After talking about receiving their children back from resurrection, or their dead back from the resurrection, he says, and others were tortured, not accepting their release so that they might obtain a better resurrection. And others experienced mockings and scourgings, yes, also chains and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were sawn in two, they were tempted, they were put to death with the sword. They went about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destitute, afflicted, ill-treated, men of whom the world was not worthy, wandering in deserts and mountains and caves and holes in the ground. So, in the same era in which you had people accomplishing great feats by faith, you also have people who are feeling great defeat by faith. And yet, all of these groups of people, everyone in this group of people of faith, were walking by faith. And so it was experienced in a very varied way. And then in chapter 12, we see the Hebrew writer encourages us. He says, therefore, since we have so great a cloud of witnesses surrounding us, let us lay aside every encumbrance and the sin that so easily entangles us, and run with endurance the race that is set before us. Previous to that, he said that all these people who were walking by faith, even though they had all these different experiences, had not received the promise. They had done it under the Old Testament. They were looking ahead to the fulfillment of everything that God was going to accomplish through Jesus Christ. And he says in verse 40, because God had provided, this is in chapter 11, because God had provided something better for us, that apart from us, they would not be made perfect. They were doing all these great things. They were walking by faith. They were, yes, being victorious on the one hand, but also being defeated on the other hand, all under a system, under an era in which they didn't have the full revelation. Prophets were prophesying, but they didn't completely understand what they were prophesying about. People were serving heartily the Lord at a temple that was just a copy and a shadow of the true tabernacle. They were offering up these sacrifices in devotion to God, even though these sacrifices could not completely take away sin. These people were walking by faith, even though they were living in a time in which everything wasn't quite completed yet. Everything was not perfected yet. But now we walk by faith, and we still have the same similar experiences where we experience both victory on one hand and defeat on the other, in a sense. But we have the full revelation of God. We have the promises of God fulfilled in Jesus Christ, and we are made complete and perfect in a way that they only hope for and only wish for. And so we ought to all the more endure. We ought to all the more take these examples, these Old Testament examples, as encouragement to keep on going, not to give up in our faith, but to draw all the more closer to the Lord, knowing that we have the confidence of knowing that, yes, people of faith have accomplished great things. They endured great things, even though they were under a not completed system yet. And we have it all for us, revealed in Jesus Christ. And so we should take the baton and just finish the race, keep on going, keeping our eyes fixed on Christ, letting go of everything that's an encumbrance that's keeping us from running the race, getting rid of all the sin that entangles us, and just run full speed towards the things that God has prepared for us. So the encouragement today is just to keep on going. Use the Old Testament examples as encouragement to keep on going. Be thankful that we have everything complete in Christ. We are perfected in Christ, and use that as motivation to keep running the race that is set before us. So here's some things we can think on and reflect on as we do our reading today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.